Alright guys, welcome to this tutorial on how to do Baltic style pickup inkle weaving. You can see I have my pattern and my warped loom, and I've done some stuff on the loom already, but I've also started doing just some regular weaving so I can establish my width. You can also use setting sticks and anything that you feel comfortable using for inkle weaving. You can use those same things here. I just don't really do that. I use just a little knot and just work from there. Again, to review from my last video, I have for my weave, I've got this yellowy green color is my background, and then this brown color is my pattern, and I am using two strands of brown per pattern thread, and if I follow that up, they are huddled together. So we can see that that's supposed to work as one, and that's so that the pattern is bumped up above the background. So that's described in the previous video on this blog post. The other thing on that video, I was using an orange as my weft. I just continued to use that as I was just kind of playing around with the pattern and realized that was going to suck. So I stopped doing that and I switched to using the same yellow as the background color, and that really makes it clean and look very nice. And I would suggest that you do so as well, because now having done it a bit, I can tell you that it just turns out to be a much prettier result. So before we get into actually doing any of the patterning, I need to talk about reading the chart. So here's my chart. This is the same one that's on the blog. You can see I've got these little diamond, triangular shapes on the sides, and then the big circle in the middle. You can see here, that's one of those circles, so you can kind of see what that might look like. And those are the triangle bits there, but we'll get into that. So the way you read this chart is every column in the chart represents one of the pattern threads. So I have 5 pattern threads, so I have 5 columns. And sometimes it's easy as you go through. Actually, you might even want to number them. I found that very helpful to number as I go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and as I'm working them, I name them those numbers so I can kind of keep track of where I am. For every line of weave that you do, you're looking at a single row. So if we look at one single square, we're looking at the one pattern thread at one point in the sequence of weaving. If it's a brown, it can be any color, but mine is brown and white. If it's a brown block, that indicates that it's meant to be above the weft. So if it's not naturally there, we need to pick it up, and that's where the term pickup comes from. We need to pick it up above the weft. All of the white squares means that pattern needs to be below the weft, pattern thread, below the weft. And that's pretty easy. It sounds pretty straightforward. It's actually when you start to manipulate things that things get a little wacky. So if we get started, the best thing for me to do is to try to zoom in here to show you what we're doing. All right. So the first line of my pattern indicates that threads 1 and 5 need to be above the weft because they're brown, and 2, 3, and 4 need to be below. If I look at where I'm at, 1, 3, and 5 are naturally above, and 2 and 4 are naturally below, because I haven't been doing any manipulating to this point. So according to the chart, the only thing I need to do is get rid of number 3, because everything else is where it belongs. So in order to do that, I simply drop it from the equation. That's easy enough to do. That's part of the joy about these things, is sometimes you get these bits in the pattern that are incredibly easy to do. That's one of them. This next one is also incredibly easy. because it actually involves changing nothing at all. If we look again, 1, 3, and 5 need to be below, and 2 and 4 need to be above. Well, we just did that naturally. So here we have 2 and 4 above, 1, 3, and 5 below. So we don't have to change anything. We can go ahead and weave that. Right. The next row is the same as the first. 1 and 5 are up. 3 needs to drop down. So again, take 3 out of the equation. Okay, now come to a bit of a change. Now we're looking at this row, and we're looking that 1, 2, 4, and 5 need to be below, and 3 needs to be above. Well, when we look at where we're at right now, 2 and 4 are above, and the only one we need is 3. So we have to manipulate everything in this one. So we went from really easy now to everything needs to move around. So now we've gotten to the point where we need to not just drop or push down, but also pick up. And this is where things start to get a little tricky, and you have to be really patient with yourself. The way that I make do with this is I remember that each one of my sets of threads, you can read this in the blog, looks like this. It's one pattern encased into backgrounds. So that when I'm looking at everything, anytime I see 2 backgrounds together, I know that there should be a pattern in here somewhere. And that's what helps me keep everything straight. And if I do that, I see right below, there's number 3. And that's the one I want above. Now remember, we're not dropping any of the background threads. We're just moving the pattern threads. I don't need 2 and 4, so same as before, I'm going to drop them out of the equation. And there I have just number 3. And as I've been doing this, I've found that picking up first and then dropping any that need to be dropped is the easier way to do it, rather than trying to do all of them sort of along one line. Just pick up first and then drop what you don't need, making sure that you keep your background threads where they belong. So now I can leave this one. And every time you change your shed, you reset everything. So now I'm back. Remember before I started with 2 and 4? I'm back to 1, 3, and 5. Even though I picked 3 up, it's still going to be back to the natural order the next time I change the shed. So now we are at this row. So I need 2, 3, and 4, and to drop 1 and 5. So 1 and 5 need to go away, and 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, and 4 need to be above. So once again, I'm going to pick up first, going between my background threads to find them, and I'm going to drop 1 and 5. You can see something's starting to happen here with my pattern. I've started to get some gaps. There's my little diamond reverse. I guess it would be an X. Diamond would be the other way, wouldn't it? An X pattern, my gap, and now I'm starting to formulate that circle. I've got the first few bits of that. Now I'm at this line, which is all of the pattern threads are now going to be up, which is pretty straightforward. You don't even have to think about it too much except to make sure that you're putting them in the right place. So between the two pattern or backgrounds, there's the pattern. That one stays. Between the two, that one stays. Between the two. There we go. Oops. Okay, so now they are all up. All right. Now we are here. So 3 goes down, and 2 and 4 come up. So I'm going to pick up first. And then I'm going to drop 3. Okay. Now 1 and 5 are up. And we are at another area where that's kind of against what we've got here. We're going to pick up 1 and 5. And we're going to drop 2 and 4. Now I've created that first, I'm halfway there. Okay. So it's the reverse on the way back. So we just did this line, now we're going to reverse the pattern on the way up. So I want 2 and 4 to be up. And 3 can go away. Oh, isn't that cute? All right, the next one is all of them are up. Now, 3, 4, hang on, where am I at? I'm here. So 2, 3, and 4. Drop 1, drop 5. And then the last one is just 3. So get rid of 2 and 4. All right, now we've reached the end of the chart. So we just start over. This is one repeat of our pattern. So now we are back to the bottom, doing our little X's, not diamonds. So that just means we get rid of 3. which completes our circle. The next one doesn't change. It's 2 and 4, so we can just weave that. No manipulation required. Next one is the same. Drop 3. And we've started our circle again. So that's 3 needs to be up. And 2 and 4 go away. In a pattern like this, which is pretty straightforward, you really, after a while, don't need to reference the chart as much because you've already done it. You can kind of get a sense as you go along about what you need to do next. Obviously keep it nearby just in case you do have a question. So I want sometimes it is also helpful to go ahead and pick all of them up. You know, go, okay, I have all of them here. Which ones don't I need? That's another way to kind of think about doing it. So right now I don't need 1 and 5. One of the things that is mentioned in Ann Dixon's book, linked at the beginning of this post, is that she comments that it shouldn't really be called pickup weaving because you pick up and you drop down. Why should pick up get all of the attention? So that's sort of a funny thing about this, is that yes, we call it pickup, but it is more than that. That's only half the story. All right, so now you can see that there is 1 repeat plus part of the next in my pattern, and you can't really get a sense at the beginning because of your honeycomb here what that might look like, but you can see how these little bits here can kind of enhance a pattern and make it not so flat. By including these little things in the spaces, it really adds detail to it. I also really like how that little cross little bit comes into at the circle. So my cat is playing with something in the kitchen. So all right, so that is basically how you do pick up reading a chart such as this, which like I said, you can get on the blog if you want to use that one. The warping pattern is there as well, and there's a video on how to do that. There's talking about how you handle your threads and all of that, and I'm going to continue weaving this one along and see where it takes me. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this has shown you how to do Baltic-style inkle weaving a bit better than what I found when I first tried to learn. Thanks for watching.